So let's talk about the Hilt modules and why we need to use it and how it is helpful for our application. So basically, sometimes we cannot perform a constructor injection. And the previous we saw that how we can do a constructor injection and provide the dependency over there, and the Hilt was automatically creating all of the instances for us. But let's say if you don't own that particular class, which means that you haven't created that class, it comes through the third-party library, right? So you don't have access to the constructor, and you cannot modify it to add your own dependency over there, right? So if you install a third-party library like retrofit, and if you want to inject into that class, you don't have a constructor injection. You cannot get that. You cannot go to the source code and you cannot inject it over there, right? So that's not possible because that class is not owned by you. And even for the we have an interface, we cannot do the constructor injection over there. So the module or the Hilt module is a lifesaver for this kind of scenario. And a Hilt module is simply as a class, and that is connected with the add module. And if you are already familiar with the Dagger, and you already know that we can create the modules and the component, and whenever we create a module, we have to annotate it with the add module annotation. So it's same like Dagger module over here, and if you are not familiar, don't worry, we'll see how we can create a module. And it will inform basically to provide the instance of a certain types. Unlike the Dagger module, you don't have to annotate the Hilt module with the installing, and it tells the Hilt to which Android class each module will be used or installing. So whenever we are using a Hilt module, we also have to pass the add install in this annotation and pass where you want to install, whether you want to install in the application class or in the fragment or in the activity itself. So we have some of the components over here, and then we have to make use of. Later we'll see more about the components. And if we go over here, we have add bind, and we can see that index interface instance with the add bind annotation as well as the add provides annotation. So first of all, we'll see the add binds annotation, and it's really useful when we have to do our injection or constructor injection for the interface. But for other use case, we basically use the add provide annotation. Most of the time we will go with the add provide annotation, but if you have interface or something, and then basically people will go with the bind annotation. But probably when you are building, you are not going to come to this particular kind of scenario, but it's good to learn and have a basic understanding about it. So let's try to understand add bind annotation, how we can use it. So you can say that add bind annotation tells Hilt which implementation to use when it needs to provide the instance of this particular interface, right? So they have created one interface over here, and they have implemented that interface over here, and then they have created a module over here, Hilt module, which provide this particular interface over here. And bind it, and it provides the instance of that particular interface. So let's go back to our project over here, and we will create it practical. So first of all, I need an interface, right? And I can just call it as a car functions, and this is an interface. So I just create a function and do drive, and this will return the type as a string. So I just have one function over here in this car function interface. Now I need to create a module, so I'll just go and create a new package and call it as a module. And inside this module, I'll create another Kotlin class. I think I don't have. Okay, so let me create a class as a, let's call it as a activity module. And this class should actually be an abstract. And because we need to create our abstract function over here, so I need to create a abstract function over here and call it as a bind. So let it bind. It should be bind the. We want to bind our car functions interface over here, and here we will. Here we need to provide the implementation. First of all, I'll just provide the add module over here, annotation, and then second, also I need to provide add install in, so where I want to install it. So there are few that we can use, like application app sorry applic application component. We have an application, not the application component, sorry, it should be of activity component. We have activity component over here, and then this means that basically this will be available on all of the activities that's going to use it. So if you want to make it as a singleton or to make it as application level, so I can just call it as a singleton component, which means that this will be available for the whole life cycle of our application. So later we'll see about the application in life cycle itself, but for now I'm interested on the activity component over here because we just want to make use in our activity. And then we have this particular, and then we need to create an implementation for this particular car function. So just grab the name over here, and I'll just create a new class over here, car function implementation. And here we will provide that particular we need I need a valve, and I need to provide that particular I need to provide that interface over here, right? Sorry, not the over here, it should be of the, I need to implement this interface, right? So car function, sorry, car function, the car function interface over here, and now I have to implement that particular member to drive. Okay, and now I can do some function over here, or I need to return, and I can just say car can drive. Okay, so now I need a annotation over here at inject over here, and we need to provide a constructor for that one. Now we have a car function implementation which implements the car functionality, and it has a function to override do drive, and now we can make use of this class in our activity. So if I go over here, and I can just add inject over here, and let in it var of a car function. Okay, so car functions, and then I can just get the value of a car function, and then I can just say car functions dot I can get do drive, and I can just print out this one and just pass it over here. So car functions, sorry, not on the tag, it should be over here, right? And now if we go back to our activity module, now we just have created a function, but we haven't implemented it. So how do we implement it? Is add bind. So we need to make use of add bind annotation over here. So this binds to our particular binds the particular whatever interface we have. So now this, the return type is of this, or is the car function, because we need to return the car functions, and I need a what we have, car function implementation, so I needed that one. And so that's it. So we just have to bind it over here, and you may be a bit confusing. We just use a bind annotation, and then create an abstract function, and then provide the dependency over here. We need to make use of car functionality implementation class, because that's where we have implemented that particular interface, and that's return the function of the car functions over there. And if you go back to the documentation, it says that The bind annotation tells Hilt which implementation to use when it needs to provide the instance of this particular interface. So it tells the Hilt basically which implementation to use when we want to provide that particular interface. So if you want, then you can just copy and you can just go and paste it over here if you want to read it more. So now we have implemented that one. We can just go and run our application, and then the application should not crash, right? So we have implemented that particular module and provided our functionality over here, and then when we go to implementation, we have injected over here, and this is how we test. So we have to do the constructor injection for this particular car functions, and I'll just wait for the Gradle build to complete. Let's open our application, and then I think I need to go to the logcat, not the application itself. Just go to the logcat, and okay, so we don't see any of those, right? So why is that? Is if we go back over here and if we take to main activity, okay, so I just remove the tag over there. I should be off this tag, sorry for that one, and you're just going to run it one more time, and then you can see that there is this car can drive. So this is coming from this particular functionality. Now we have make use of the interface and make use of a module over here, the dagger or the Hilt module, to provide the injection for our particular interface class. So this is returning this particular car function which is an interface, right? And the another way is to make use of our provide annotation. So this is another way that we can actually use. It's used on the retrofit, OK student client, room database, and all of those stuff.